Hi, Ryan. Thank you so much for taking the time out to do this interview. How you doing lately?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I mean, obviously the world's in a different place, but I've been staying busy.
Yeah. Oh, finally, baseball finally came back just last night. Perfect timing. What are your thoughts on the process to get them to resume? Were you in the loop of the MLB PA versus the MLB and all the different in and outs of getting the whole restart?
Yeah, I kind of kept in touch with a few friends who were still playing and, hearing, I guess, the back and forth. And it was very public, obviously, that, a lot of the fans were having to choose between siding with the players and the owners. And, I'll always side with the players, probably through every single issue that ever comes up in those negotiations. So I'm just happy that it finally came and they got something that was a succinct plan and able to get enough games to make it a true season.
Yes, 100%. Do you feel that the health protocols are good enough, or are there still some faults in it that you think that may show later on as the season progresses?
I think the protocols themselves, of the testing, I think that's, it seems, and from what I've heard and what I've seen, is that it looks like it's done with the, kind of a lot of doctors' input and professional input in mind. And they are getting tested a good amount of times. And if you do test positive, obviously you have to stay away. So I think in that regard, it is done very well. But there is probably going to be issues that are going to come up that are unforeseen right now, which, it's unfortunate that it may, I think Juan Soto is probably a good example. I mean, a top tier athlete test positive and isn't able to play last night. So I guess you got to kind of wonder, what if three, four, five guys test positive? Like, are you taking away from the competitive advantage of a team? If your two through six hitters all test positive, like, and they can't play that night. I don't know how fair that seems for the for the game.
Right, 100%. The one thing that I was going to mention, Soto, but he had two negatives on instant swab tests yesterday, right after. Would that be a concern that is it possible that his positive was a false positive?
Yeah, I think there has been, that may have been a false positive. Obviously, I don't know. I'm not in the know on that, but I did hear and I don't know how public it was, but a player tested positive with his team. Or sorry, a player tested negative with his team. He wasn't feeling well. He went and got his own test on his own. That was positive. Went back in the next day, told, his team doctors and everything, tested positive again. And then later that day tested negative. So in a span of 48 hours, he had a negative, two positives wrapped around with another negative. So it just seems that, are they testing enough? Sure. But like, what is the accuracy of these tests and what is tripping these false positives? I think those are definitely things that,
Yeah.
they kind of need to dig down and find out.
Right. The one thing that I found very scary is you have a superb athlete like Freddie Freeman, who literally felt like he was going to die when he had the virus. So it just goes to show, first of all, from a public health standpoint, this virus ain't no joke. A man who's 30 something years old in prime shape can still get the virus and still get very much impacted, just like a 65-year-old. So, to all the public out there, I think that you should really look at the athletes and then maybe reconsider going and ripping on not wearing masks, distancing, not distancing. That's for starters. But with Freddie Freeman in general, I mean, you have an athlete like that. Does that give you more of a scare, along with the possible of the spreading within the clubhouse from just one positive or the false positives? Is that another concern that may be there because the players may not be at full strength at points in the season, even if they do recover?
Yeah, I mean that's probably definitely a concern. For me, if I was in that position, it's probably just I'm worried about the others. I mean, especially the clubhouse staff, umpires, kind of anyone you're going to come in contact with. I'd believe on my ability, I guess. Like you said, Freddie Freeman, obviously top tier athlete, and he was able to fend it off, which is always a great thing and positive for him. But you're right, there's others who may not have that ability, so you got to kind of be wary of everyone else, not just yourself. Be very selfless at some point in time.
Yes. Alrighty, so we're gonna phase in to a little bit of your career. So your first game, I'm trying to I'm trying to get myself to be able to share. Oh, here I go. Okay. I'm going to share your MLB debut.
Yep.
And hold on. I'm going to find it over here. And I'm going to share a video of your first MLB game. All right. We got that right there. Got to share it. Okay. All right. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
All
Sharing
right.
screen.
Perfect. So we're going to pause it a few times. So over here, you're coming in, your MLB debut. What are your thoughts right now? Like you just got called into the game. You just got the ball. You're stepping onto the mound. Right over here. What are your thoughts right when you got called up?
You know, if I'm going to be completely honest here, I have to watch videos like this because I don't remember one thing. Like, I truly don't. There was it's one of those things that I remember warming up, and then I remember, talking to the guys kind of in the bullpen beforehand. But right as the gate opened in center field, right as that gate opened and I was running on the field, like, I don't like it's, it's so funny to say, like, I really don't remember much. It just is, it was like a blur. Probably up until I threw the first pitch. I remember the first pitch, like right now, I'm just so nervous. Like, I just remember being so nervous. Just don't throw it over the backstop. Just throw a strike. That was kind of my nerves. And then once I got my first strike, I kind of settled.
So let's take a look at this first strike over here. I watched it many times. Well, we'll let the video play out.
See, there's a lot of breathing there. Like, that's a heavy breath.
A lot of breathing. Yep. Did you choose the number 61, or they just gave it to you?
No, that's in the locker, and it didn't matter. I could have had no number; it wouldn't have mattered.
Alrighty, a World Series MVP over here, and Steve Pearce. First pitch, 90 with movement for a strike. How does that feel?
Yeah, and like I said, just that first strike was, I don't know, it was just a huge weight off the shoulders, and now I just felt like I could kind of just do my own thing. I don't think I was shaking any pitch, so I didn't really have to worry about it. Whatever Kurt put down, I was throwing.
Yep. Alrighty, so then now we'll speed up the video a little bit. It's okay. You got 0-2 over here on your first MLB hitter. What are you thinking?
I mean, I knew it was going to be a slider because Kurt kind of talked to me before and said, what's your pitch? I said slider, so I figured it was coming. I just thought, bury it.
Beautiful. Beautiful pitch over there. Strike out your first MLB hitter. How does that feel, striking out the first one?
Yeah, I mean, you probably can't see in my glove, but I think I clenched my fist so hard I was like ripping at the seams of my glove. That was just, I don't know, as pure of excitement as I'm ever going to have.
Just looking at it again, that's like perfect.
Yeah.
Like movement it sinks right down. Perfect. That must have been like a 13-inch break or something like that. 15-inch break over there.
Yeah, that's been my pitch. And then
over here, second batter of your MLB career, just a quick little pop up. Alrighty, you might just finish this game over here, nice and easy.
And I thought that hit was going to fall in. It got in on him. It kind of had that bloop launch angle. I was like, oh man, don't give me like a little cheapie.
Yeah, that would have been really, really annoying. So the starter of that game was, I think, Kyle Gibson, right? Was he a rookie then?
No, Gibby's he was probably up for maybe 2 years at that point. He might have got up in 13, and then 14 he kind of was up for a good amount of the time.
Okay. All right, so who is like your wind of guys that you came up with?
I mean, Sano, Eddie Rosario, Buxton, probably high A, double A, and then from there,
that pitch over there is great.
Kepler, pitcher-wise, Pat Dean, AJ Ochter, Michael Tonkin. I mean, those are kind of that's my whole crew.
Okay.
Tyler Duffy, Taylor Rogers, who are there now still.
So you came up with the mainstays. Alrighty, so you're about to finish your first MLB appearance. 1, 2, 3, 9th inning. How's that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm fired up. That's like the most. Look at the handshake.
Yeah, you're just like. Urgh.
Yeah, just such a serious. And then Plouffe and Joe, they were just such good guys. And I'm thinking when Plouffe gave me the ball, he's like, "Hey, rookie, like go get him," right before he gave it to me. So they've been so good to me the whole time. And yeah, it's a special moment. It's kind of cool watching this stuff back.
Yeah, Eduardo Nunez over there.
Oh yeah, Nooney. It's probably Nooney, Joe. Yeah, there's a good amount of guys there.
I mean, that team looked like a very, very like youthful, loose, fun team to be with.
Yeah, no, we were, and you know, after the games in the locker rooms were always fun. We'd have a little dance party just amongst ourselves, and you know, it was for me coming up at that point, and I was probably like an older rookie, I guess you could say, but you know, they treated everyone with respect. Everyone just felt like they belonged there. I mean, Torrey Hunter was on the team, so it just made it easy that way. And, you know, we made a pretty good run in September, and I was very, you know, it was just fun to be a part of that because the game got really serious and wins were cherished, you know, towards the end of that run. I think we might have missed the playoffs by like a game or two.
Yeah, I think it was by 1 or 2 games. Yeah. Yep. So that was your first team in the MLB, and then you went through a bunch of injuries. So I don't remember exactly what the injuries were, but how do you deal with adversity, missing a couple of years or a year and a half due to injury? How does that sit with you mentally?
Yeah, you know, the physical part is, you know, you just do what you got to do every day. I mean, the physical part's really it's tough. It's just a lot of hard work. You just got to be diligent about the way you go about it. But you know, the mental aspect of it, it was tough, and you know, just not performing, not being out there, which is something that, you know, that was my life. That's all I cared about. So that was probably, you know, where it first started, like mentally to kill you. But then, you know, I'd see certain guys in the role that I was in before, the role that I expected to be in currently, or that I should have been in. And I see guys on other teams who I played against who I may feel that my skills are better than them and I'm a more talented player than them. So I think that's really where it steps in mentally. Like, you just worry about, you know, am I going to be good again, or is someone going to think I'm good again? Which really is kind of, you just got to trick a scout. You don't, or you know, or a front office. You don't really have to be good yourself. You just got to show someone that they think you're good. So that was where it kind of crept in. Of, am I going to have this, you know, another chance? Am I going to get back? Is it all going to work out for me?
Right. So you made it back with the Mets.
The Mets.
And you made it up. You signed a minor league deal in the offseason of 2018-2019, and you came up in May. You came up May 1st, right?
Yeah. Yeah, my birthday was April 30th, and I got kind of the call on my birthday, and then I was there the next day.
That's sick. You got your call on the birthday. That's great.
Was pretty cool.
So your time in the Mets organization, what were some things that stood out that you would have changed? That, like, what did you think of it? I mean, you only pitched in 2 games, but you were in the organization for a little while.
Yeah, you know, I kind of went into spring training, and I bet you that according to the front office and to their scouting department and all the meetings they had probably before I showed up, I was just supposed to go there, pitch a little in spring, and then they'd send me to the minor leagues, and I'd be a nice depth guy. Like, that's probably, and I'm actually 99% sure that's what was supposed to happen. But I think my work ethic and my stats and the way I threw in the spring, like, I think I opened, you know, a few eyes about my ability, especially post surgery. So, you know, I think I was the last cut or second to last cut in spring. So, you know, I was very devastated. I thought I did enough to make that team, at least to start out with the team. You know, obviously if things go south early on, cut me loose and get rid of me. But I thought I did enough to make that team. So that was a little upsetting for me. You know, when they called me in, I was a little disappointed. I think they asked me if I have anything to say, and I think I think it's best if I just walk out of this meeting right now like this. I was a little angry at the time.
Yeah, so I'll tell you that when you signed, I remember when you signed. So obviously Mets Twitter is very active. So there was a lot of questions. Why are they signing it back coming off injury? Mets injuries, we know that doesn't go so well. So, and a lot of people are advocating, okay, root for the guy, come back. He's gonna make a comeback. And then you go out in spring, and essentially you make the Mets Twitter team what the Mets Twitter thinks should be the team. And
Yep.
and so you you made the team, but you didn't make the team, and then you get called up later on in the season, and they cut you again. How does that sit with you? How does the player, like, he almost makes the team in spring, then he goes and he gets called up, pitches in 2 games, and they say hasta mañana. How does that sit with you? How are you able to go back and do anything in that organization?
Yeah, I think that's the tough part. I mean, there's times when you get sent down, and I'll probably speak on the first one is, I went up, I pitched that day, and then we had gotten called, and then we had flew to Milwaukee, and then I pitched the next night, or I think I waited a day and then pitched the next night. So I was really only up for 3 days, pitched in 2 games. But the second game went extra innings, like very deep. We used a lot of pitchers. So I get the game. Like, I'm not an idiot. I understand that when you're using a lot of pitchers, you got 40-man roster flexibility. I had options, so I go down. 100%. I agree with that one. And they explain that to me in the meeting, and that's fine. They go, hey, we got to make a move. Guys are, you're not fresh. Other guys aren't fresh. I get that. So when I go down, then it's just, all right, get your work in, do what you got to do. You'll be back. But then the second time I get called back up, it's like a 1-run game. I warmed up in like the 5th and then the 7th. And so I was going to be put in tight spots. So then when, they kind of took me out they didn't even put me in the game, I should say. I warmed up in tight spots. It didn't work out for us. I didn't go in. And then that night they called me in the office and they were like, hey, the next day. They said, hey, you're going to be sent down. And I was like, what do I need to do to stay here? What is it going to take? I was like, because there's guys in the bullpen that you're not trusting in 1-run games, yet they're staying here and I'm going away. So, like, why would you throw me in a 1-run game but send me down, but leave guys who you don't trust in 1-run games?
Right.
They honestly didn't have an answer for that, and that was kind of unfortunate for me. So, once you go down after that, then I see the writings on the wall, like whether they don't – I can't say they don't believe in my ability, because you called me up the majors and I was warming up in a 1-run game, but that's the stuff that just, kind of messes with your head, and you're like, it just didn't make sense at the time.
Right. Yeah. A lot of players have issues with organizations going through the up, down, service time manipulation, that kind of stuff. That's on the outside, that's a small part of the minor league issue. There's an issue that I really want to touch on over here that I don't think the public understands enough. When you're in the minor leagues, what was your salary when you were with the Twins, and then when you were with the Mets in the minor leagues? What is your monthly salary or weekly?
So with the Twins, I think my first year in rookie ball, I was making $1,200 a month. And then that is so I think it's, let's say for the first, until I made it to the major leagues, my salary ranged from $1,200 a month to about $1,600 a month, no matter what level I was at, from rookie ball all the way to AAA. It was probably somewhere in that $1,200 to $1,600 a month range. So obviously not a lot of money. Once you make it to the major leagues and then you get sent to the minor leagues at any point in time after, you have a little bit more negotiating power, because you'd made it to the major leagues and were a commodity. You were kind of protected under the union, so your salary has changed. I think I've played anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 a month at points in time, which is very good. Right. But that's obviously protected with the split level contract between, if I go up to the major leagues, I make the minimum. If I go down, it's probably around $20,000 a month. So yeah, those are the ranges of the contracts. But again, you have to make the major leagues to be able to have that ability to kind of negotiate your minor league deal.
Right. So when you got your first call, how does the salary work? So you're getting paid your minor league salary, and then they call you up to the majors. Are you still getting paid your minor league salary from the month that you're pitching? Are you getting prorate from that month that you were pitching in the minors? And then once you get to the majors, are you getting prorate majors, or are you getting a monthly part of your contract, or you're just getting the entire minimum contract for an MLB player?
Yeah, so you get So say I think I called it like July 7th. So July 1st through 6th, I would get a prorated minor league salary of that month. So obviously peanuts. And then from July 7th on for the rest of that month, that would be a prorated major league minimum salary.
Okay, so
So
meaning that they take
worked.
they take 550K or whatever the minimum was then, and they go and they slice it into 162 games, and then however many games you play, you get that.
Yep. So I think it works out to around 2,700 a day, something along those lines. So, each day that's for that month, that's what it would work out to.
Right.
Depending on how many days you spent up.
Okay. So when the players go and they play major leagues, they get whatever salary they get. A player like you who didn't have that much time in the major leagues, how do you financially set yourself up? How do players never really discuss their financials, which is understandable, but how do players that haven't played very much and are on a half minor league salary for a chunk of their career, how do they set themselves up financially for if something like you happens, you're unable to continue your career, or if a player just decides to retire or injured or something in middle of what he's going to call his prime years of physical ability? How do you set yourself up financially knowing that's a possibility?
Yeah, so when I made it up my first year, I had a family friend who was a financial advisor. So, once I kind of got my first decent chunk of change that I could save, I, sat down with him. We actually had a meeting, sat down, we talked about planning and what I want to do and where I want to be in my life and where do I see myself in 5-10 years. So
right.
A lot of the money I got, it goes there, into a 401k or some type of fund that's, hopefully gaining me 1% year over year. I may be different. I'm sure some guys do it that way, but I think what a lot of the fans don't know or don't realize is that the money they see on TV and those huge contracts, there's such a small percentage of those people who actually make that. They're the people, not people like me, but the guys with not a lot of service time, a couple years who haven't reached arbitration, like that 500K a year, and that's a good amount of money. I'll never disparage that, but take away taxes, agent fees, union dues, clubhouse dues. You're paying for stuff on the road, food, the money starts to really dwindle. And, if you're not smart about it, not saving it, then it really does disappear. And especially in the off season, we don't get paid. So
Right,
every day that's the hardest part. So every day you walk outside, you're minusing money in the off season because you have no way of kind of getting it to come in. So I think that's what, a lot of fans don't realize. And, probably a lot of people that I've come across don't realize when I say I got, a couple, 3 or 4 years in the major leagues, and they're like looking at me like, oh, you must be a trillionaire, It's like, that's, not even close to the case.
Yeah, there's probably people who work as secretaries for 5 years that have made more than you over 5 years in professional baseball.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. My first 5 years in professional baseball, everyone in this country who's above the poverty line made more than me.
Yeah, which is I didn't really want to go into the whether the minor leagues should be paying more money, but I guess we'll go there for a quick second. Do you feel that the minor leagues should be paid a much different cut because of the way that they're going and feeding into the major leagues, that if not for them, there would be no major leagues?
I do think they need to be paid more. Now, more is more than the 12 to 16 or 1,800 that I made. For sure, more than that. But I've seen them asking, each player gets 35,000 at the single A high level, and then 45, and then 60. Like as the levels go up, I think that is just, you're asking way too much at that point. That to me it's just not sustainable, because a lot of these minor league teams are kind of run by themselves. they're separate entities from their major league organizations. I understand the major league organizations pay the players, but they're not going to be shelling out large sums of money when the majority and the vast majority of those players will never make a cent for a major league owner. So I do think they should be paid more. But, when I'm looking at it from like a business standpoint, like I get it when the owners are saying like, you're not, it's not like we're paying 25 guys $30K a year for single A. Like, you look, I probably played, in 1 year in single A with 40, 45 guys, roster changes up and down on the team. Maybe 5 of us, 6 made it to the major leagues. And maybe 2 of us are actually like, 5+ year big leaguers. So there's no way you're going to try to pay all 40 of those people. That's $120,000. Like, you're not just shelling out $120K for the Beloit snappers.
Right. So would you feel that if a system that the players had a certain level of like what's normal, what's a normal expense and not what's not a normal expense, and the players will go and live a half normal life while they're playing, and the minor leagues have to cover that, the owners have to cover that, whether that 1 month it could be because of a medical expense, 5,000 1 month, it may only be 800. The owners could potentially be saving money over there if you have a player that doesn't like to go out to eat that often and just needs a bed to sleep, food to eat, and a car or transit to get to the ballpark. For a player like that, it could be cheaper than the 1,200, even though that sounds like a crazy amount. But for a player who's got a wife and a kid, and he needs a house for them, and he's got to deal with taxes and other stuff, that he may be closer to the 5,000 mark. Do you think that is a fair ask from the minor league players?
I mean, that's a good petition right there. But I just don't think that's sustainable. But that, I think you're starting a great conversation though of how there can be discrepancies. I mean, the thing I always look at is our checks come and it says we work, we're independent contractors and it says we work 40-hour weeks. That's a lie. Like, if you're going to count travel time and when we show up to the field, that's a clock in. We don't work 40-hour weeks. So potentially make it an hourly job. Give us a minimum wage and make it hourly. And from an owner standpoint, you'll see people at the ballpark earlier, probably doing things. If you're at the ballpark, you're going to do things to help your career. You'll see guys go to the gym more. You'll see guys studying more at the park. People won't dread travel as much anymore, probably knowing that at least they're getting paid from sitting on a bus for 8 hours. If it becomes something like an hourly, where there's like, you have a wage and you can kind of track your hours, I'm sure you'll not only see players care more about like their pregame routine and their preparation, but that will probably spill over into the field for their performance.
Yes, 100%. And another item over there that I was thinking of is, I know that in the lower levels, especially over in the Dominican, that there's an education system. Do you think that if the minor leagues incorporated in the morning, just every day, like a different type of class, just to help the players get more educated and have options for classes, do you think that would be beneficial to the gameplay and to the way that the minor leagues run?
Yeah, a lot of teams do that. I know a lot of our Latin Americans have English courses. It wasn't a classroom in spring training, and I think some of the ones that may be a touch behind others, they do online classes and have apps as well to kind of study from throughout the year. And I think that is one of the coolest parts of my coming up, through the minor leagues with a lot of these Latin American players, is that to see them from, rookie ball trying to say hello and, certain like easy words, and then to now see them 6, 7, 8 years later, on TVs giving interviews in full English with no issue. It's just, it just goes to show, their dedication and kind of their, their want to assimilate in the culture here in our society and to kind of just be one.
Yeah. I mean, I've spoken to, I'm going to say now, hundreds of minor league players. It's the players that don't know fully English. they absolutely crave for me to try to talk to them in English versus me going and doing the little Spanish I have, which is the opposite of what I want. But at least I understand that they need it for their careers. I don't per se need to know Spanish for my careers. So I could attest to how hard these players work to try to learn English, learn the culture, learn about stuff. I've had players ask me about politics to explain the political system. I've had players ask me how to understand leasing of cars. They've asked me to understand, because one guy is in the Blue Jay system, how passports work to get across into Canada, what's the difference between the US and Canada. So I will say that the players really, really want to learn. So I think an education, a stable, unified education system within the minor leagues would be well liked by the players.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I
Yep.
see, there's kind of like, I think English becomes kind of a separator in the minor leagues where the guys who are learning it, they tend to move up faster. And I'm not saying it's because their English skills are getting better and teams are going to move in that way. It's just when they're learning English, they become more comfortable with their teammates. They become more comfortable with their day-to-day routine, with just kind of everything about their life, that it probably makes playing the game and performing on the field that much easier, so that their true baseball skills are just easy to kind of come through, where those that do struggle with English, they have a tough time even talking to their teammates, to their coaches. And I'm sure there's in the back of their head, there's like a worry about that, where that then kind of takes over, some of their talents. So, it all kind of like, I guess, works itself out, where those that do learn and learn faster tend to kind of move faster. And I just think it's a comfort thing for them.
Right. So there's two other questions that I have. Well, the last one will be your career. The first question I have is, you see contracts like the Mookie Betts contract, which is, for all intents and purposes, monopoly money. You're giving the guy 12 years, 365, or 13 years, including this year, 380 or something like that. And then you have the players that are getting signed to 1 year, $550K. Do you feel that there should be a different way to set the salary, and should there be a salary cap for teams like the Yankees, who could have somebody like Cole and Stanton's contract pulsed on the books, and then are going to end up paying Judge eventually, because we all can assume that he's going to stay there, and they're going to want to play Glaber, and they have Tanaka's contract, and they have so many different contracts. Like a team like that, do you feel there should be a cap?
But they have a luxury tax that they don't want to pay on the top, because it's a heavy percentage if you go over it. So in a way, that's probably like a soft cap, let's call it. I wouldn't say it's a hard salary cap. It's a soft cap. And I think most teams stay under it. I know the Red Sox tried to do as much as they could to stay under it, and that's probably what affected the Mookie Betts signing. And probably other free agents that they couldn't go after. When I look at a Mookie Betts contract, awesome, dude. Congratulations. Like, you deserve every penny. If a team's going to pay you, you deserve the pennies, because they put that number down on paper and you put the pen to it. So that's what happened. If in terms of a guy like Mookie Betts got $550,000 for 3 years, he did the same as everyone else. He just let his talent speak for itself. Now, once you get to arbitration, obviously there's it's kind of like your ability. You're paid due to how well you did. So, I think that the 3-year minimum could be shortened a year. But you'll see teams a lot now take advantage of that, where look at Ozzy Albies, right? He signed 7-year, 35, I think. Now, he probably shortchanged himself a lot of money, because if he has 2 or 3 or 4 really good years, like he has been, and keeps performing, he might be worth $10 million a year in free agency, where he could sign 4-year, 40, and he would already have made a lot more money, where, he kind of hamstrings himself, and now he's 7 for 35. So I think
Yeah, not to
teams
belittle the 35 million. That is a large sum of money, and I guarantee
not at
you
all.
that he has no clue what to do with half of that money.
Yes, well, half of it goes to the government, so he knows where that half's going. But yes, no, you're completely right. Is 35 is a good amount of money. He probably won't be able to spend that in his lifetime. But the way I think about the way I think about those signings is that he also is taking away from players who come behind him. So when an arbitration deal goes in a guy's first year, second year, third year arbitration, and he's trying to compare his numbers, and he compares to Ozzie Albies, Ozzie only making $5 million a year, and this guy, may have went through arbitration twice, finally gets up to good numbers, and then they're like, well, Albies only makes $5 million, so that's all you're making this year, even though he might be playing at a $10 million a year player. So someone like Albies is kind of he's not doing it on purpose, obviously, but it's just in terms of like advancing players' contracts and salaries, those deals is what the MLBPA doesn't like. They do not like those deals.
Now, what's the difference between that and an Acuna 8 for 100?
Again, Acuna nothing. Acuna hamstrung himself too. You look at Mookie Betts, what did he just get? 360. Why couldn't Acuna get that?
Because Acuna didn't play for 6 years, 7 years in the big leagues.
Right. So you give him, hey, Acuna, don't take that deal right now. Play 2, 3, 4 more years. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to sign 200, 300. But again, it's all the comfort of the player. Like if someone came to me and said, hey, here's 8 years, 100 million. If someone came, here's 10 years, 10 million, I'm signing the contract in my own blood. Like I'm making sure that I get the ink down.
Yeah.
But, it's just a different – everyone's got their own mindset, and I'll never fault a player for signing any contract. Never one. There's no fault in doing it. It's all your personal preference.
Right.
I just wish they all have, like, the facts when they do sign it. Like, hey, this is what could happen. You just hope that the agents can kind of explain that to them.
Right. Now, do players think when they're free agents, when you're a minor league free agent, are you thinking, okay, let me try to get signed by a team based in Florida so I don't have to pay income tax? Is that on any player's mind?
I'm sure it is. I'm sure there's players who it is. I mean, I played in Minnesota and New York, so the taxes at both of those states are pretty bad. And then I live in Mass, so we got not great taxes out here. So I got screwed every year. But if you look at a lot of the California contracts now, they're putting a lot of the money up front in a signing bonus to offset the California taxes. So a lot of teams are going around it now. It just, I guess the worst part is with a lot of the trades. Like if you play, I think might have been R.A. Dickey. He was playing in a team in Florida with Miami. He got traded up to Toronto, and he just lost so much money because of the Canadian taxes because he left there. Now that's completely out of his control. He did.
So I'll tell you that the Canadian taxes, because I lived in Canada for a couple of years, it wasn't the best, but I lived there. It is 43% property tax. Just think about that for a second. That's socialist.
Oh yeah.
I mean, had it a player going at Dickey went from New York up to Canada. How did New York is bad enough taxes. How do you deal? He's getting half his contract in reality.
Oh yeah, exactly. Anytime you see your money, just expect half.
Yep. So last question over here. Your career, you played parts of 3 seasons in the big leagues. What prompted you to go into retirement?
It's not the I guess from on TV it looks like the most glamorous life of all time. And probably in the major leagues it definitely is. I had fun every single day that I was up there. And in the minor leagues I'll say I had fun every single day there, but once you get over 30 and you've got an injury, and not saying I had a bad year last year, but I guess I didn't wow the world. So I went to Puerto Rico and played, and when I came back, the offers that I was getting weren't really exactly what I wanted or what I would have expected, I guess. So from there, I just kind of weighed my options and thought about, where my life was and what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be. And as much as being a baseball player is obviously a big part of my life and was a big part of my life, it's not who I want to be ultimately. So I just kind of came to the decision of, is this truly what I want to keep doing? Riding the buses, going up and down, AAA, AA, Major Leagues, who knows what it could have been. So that's kind of why I think I had 1 foot out, 1 foot in, probably around February, March, as I was like listening to offers and trying to see, and position myself to, hey, can I get back to the big leagues? What's the best team? All that stuff. And then mid-March, obviously the pandemic comes, minor league spring training's canceled. So then I just, kind of just sat around and mulled a few options over, but it wasn't really until I wrote my like kind of little retirement letter that I fully was like, all right, I'm out. Like, I'm not even going to entertain anything else. And I really couldn't have been happier. I've had, a summer with family and friends that I've never had in a very long time. I was on a beach in July 4th, which has not happened. And I think I was looking back, it's something like almost 20 years. I know, that's crazy because every year in the major minors I've played. In the summers at college, I went to summer baseball leagues. And then when I was in high school, I played Legion, and we always had a July 4th game, since I was 14. So 18 years is the last time I had a July 4th to myself.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, that, like, those little things are, I mean, I miss baseball, obviously, like I always will. It's probably the coolest thing I've ever done in my life, and might be the coolest thing I ever will do, but it's been nice without it. It truly has. And I'm excited for kind of the next chapter in my life.
If you get a call from a team and says, we're down 5 players, COVID, and we need a lefty right now, we'll put you on the major league roster, is it still a no from you?
So I got a call a couple weeks ago asking me if I'm still retired. And I said I am. Now, it wasn't, we're going to put you on the major league roster, which is a different scenario. Put it this way, no one would ever call and say that. It would be, hey, we're going to bring you to our secondary site and see. And that was kind of what the call was. But I said I'm out. I said I'm very, very content with where I'm at.
Okay. What would it, when a player's like mulling retirement and if you have an offer from the Orioles to be the last man in the bullpen, or you get a call and you're on the brink of retirement, or you get a call from the Dodgers to compete for a bullpen spot, what are you choosing over there as a player? Because, I mean, a lot of players would say different things.
Yeah, no, they would. I think for me, you gotta. Geez, that's a good question. That's a tough one. I always, if I'd get the last bullpen spot, if like it's guaranteed, I'll take that, because by the end of the year, like, that's financial security because you're already there. If something was to go wrong injury wise, you're at least protected there. But I still bet on myself that, all right, I got the last one now. At the end of the season, I'll be I'll have the top bullpen spot. Like, I'm just that confident in who I am and my abilities. Now, at the same time, if it's halfway through the season and, the Dodgers are in first and looking for a playoff run and they say, hey, can you come compete for the lefty spot? Sure. Like, I'll be there tomorrow.
So from the gist I'm getting is that you are retired for good, no matter what offer you get over here, unless it's literally to the majors.
Yeah, which those don't come. Trust me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I am.
All right, this was an unexpected question. What was the coolest player that you ever met while in the minors or the majors?
The coolest player I ever met. I mean, coolest as in.
Well, let's do coolest as in like who you thought was, wow, this guy's a cool guy, and then like, whoa, I just met so and so.
Yeah, I think coolest like that, like, wow, this guy's a cool guy, is like Torrey Hunter. Like, he's Like, he's just the man. I don't know. It's tough to describe. He just has this aura about him, and everyone who's been around him can probably, understand exactly what I'm trying to say is there's just something different about him in a very good way. And even when I
He's
retired,
just so positive. He's such a positive guy.
yeah, he is. And he makes everyone feel like, you're his best friend. And, I can't say enough about him. I mean, he sent me a message after I sent that letter out, and it was like, I saved the message. Let's just say that. And I'm never going to lose that message because it was really, really special especially coming from him. And coolest is like, holy crap. Maybe Pujols. Yeah, I think Pujols was the guy because, he's been around forever, obviously. And, when I was a kid, young, I mean, I'm talking 12, 13, 14, like he was the guy. Yeah, he was the guy. He was the new guy, and playing video games with him. And, I'll never forget, I faced him too. And I gave up my first ever hit was to him on like a little bloop single. But it's, that's fine. Like I'd rather get up to him than someone else. But then after, it was like 2 days later, I went out and I was like, hey man, do you mind signing a ball for me? I was like that fanboy, and he was like, yeah man, no problem. And he, and he even talked about the at bat. He was like, what were you trying to do there? Like, what did you see with me? Just like, and that was like super cool that he, he wanted to learn. Like, he's what, 20 years in or however many, and he's still trying to learn.
Yeah, and he wanted to hear what Ryan O'Rourke, random dude, had to say.
Right. And well, yeah, what I had to say, like what I saw in his swing, and I would probably be like, dude, you've hit 500-600 home runs. Like, I don't think I'm going to like trick you.
Yeah. Is there one at bat that you look back and you're like, wow, I got that guy out?
I mean, there's him. I mean, yeah, Prince Field.
Trout hit a homer off of you. I saw that in one of the games I was watching.
Yeah, he hit an absolute rocket. That's probably the pitch I want back.
I was debating doing that video as the video at the beginning, but I was like, I don't want to make him feel like all salty, but
no, I don't care. I had to speak to an eighth grade school about like going to high school and like, preparing for, what's going to come in your life. And I showed that video. I was like, hey, listen, I'll this is when things are very unexpected, guys. And I just showed that video, and it was kind of funny to him. But yeah, I mean, Prince Fielder might be one, and I think he grounded out, and then the manager comes out and he comes to take me out, and I was like fuming. Yeah, but I did like really.
I just got Prince Fielder out. Do you know who this man is?
Well, that's it. He goes, Ryan, why are you upset? Like, you just went 1-2 and got the lefties out. I was like, yeah, I really wanted to strike Prince Fielder out. And he goes, get the hell inside, and like kind of laugh. And then after the game, Joe Mauer and Plouffe come up to you and they're like, dude, like, you're a psychopath. Like, you got Prince Fielder out just because you didn't strike him out. Like, take a chill pill.
Well, what that should have done for the Twins is said, okay, we want this guy in our pen for years to come. This guy is upset that he didn't strike out one of the better players in the game.
Yeah, no, it was, that's how I took it. I took the game very seriously, obviously.
Yes. Is there one player right now that hasn't broken out in the major leagues that you think that baseball should watch out?
I mean, I don't know if you're going to count him as a breakout yet because he's been there, but Luis Arias, Minnesota Twins, left-handed hitter.
I have right here our website. We did predictions for the awards. I think it was two people by the side. I'll tell you in a second. I think two people said that Arias is going to win. I'll tell you. One guy said that Arias is going to win the MVP.
All right, MVP's a stretch, but
that's an actual pick right there.
Yeah, MVP might be a stretch, but that kid just hits, and he's got so much. You just watch the way he plays. He's moving his feet in the box, which don't make sense. He'll like run and slap at the ball because he kind of knows you're trying to like burn him with a slider, and like he's very good. He's a very good hitter. Such a good guy. We've rehabbed together. He tore his ACL like the day after I blew my elbow out. So we kind of just every day were rehabbing next to each other. And, it sucked. He was probably like 19, 20 at the time in high A, and he was looking to like just make the jump that year. And it set him back. So everyone's finding out about him now. But I remember when he was the guy even in high A and in rehab, like on one knee, like taking one-handed swings, just crushing the ball. I'm like, this guy's going to be special.
Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. What do you call it? I saw that like he was not on any major list. Like when he came up, he was sort of under the radar. Like, who's this?
Oh yeah, at 2017, I knew about that kid. Like, is there
another kid in any of in the Mets or the Twins system that like is still there and you could see something like a rise happening to them?
Thinking about for the Mets system, they kind of got rid of all the hitters. Like, I loved Dilson Herrera, who was, I thought he was just exceptional with us. He played a bunch of different positions, had power, just like a really good teammate. And then, he went to the Orioles, and I think he's either did make their opening day or probably he's probably like on the taxi squad right now. But
he might be on the squad. Hold on. Because that's actually, I'll check that right now because that's actually something I was reading all the rosters earlier. No, he didn't make it. It doesn't look like he made it. He's still on the taxi squad. He's the last guy left in the infield on a taxi squad. So he's up the second anything happens.
Yeah, no, he'll be up, and he's, he was a good player. I know he wasn't a part of he was a part of the Mets system. Then he left, and then he came back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there wasn't really too many. When I was in AAA, there wasn't really too many like homegrown Mets guys there. I mean, we were all a bunch of free agents between like Carlos Gomez, Rajai, Espinoza, Reimer Liriano.
That was a
Dilson.
Fun team.
Yeah, no, it was a great team. Just that was honestly, for that kind of to be my final year, I guess, in the minor leagues was I had so much fun. Like, it was so worth it.
I mean, that team, like that either that team would be a bunch of pissed off guys like, dang it, I didn't make the major leagues, or that team would be, all right, let's just chill over here. We're not doing anything. Let's just sit back and play some music, dance in the clubhouse, do whatever the heck we want.
Yeah, we were laid back, but we all kind of knew that we needed to perform to get back up there. So it was just relaxed. And then, when you were in between the white lines, like, we were kind of feisty, even amongst one another, like calling each other out, like not making a play or maybe not, in position or certain things. But, it was good because then right in the, when you go in the locker room, like we were so close that we'd like, hey man, like, I know you yelled at me, like, what did you see? Like, what do I got to do better? It was really good, like really, really good.
Yeah, I think if you look at that team, I think almost half of that Syracuse Mets team was at the major leagues at some point, whether it was a day or a week or a month or the whole season. Almost every single guy touched or was about to touch the major leagues.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there was guys there who had a ton of time. And
yeah. And you look at other teams in the majors, like, no offense to the Tigers or Orioles or Royals, the Syracuse Mets would probably have a better record than them in the season.
100%. Like, there was one who we beat up on someone's AAA team. We might have scored.
Yankees, 15 runs. You lost 16-15 or something like that. Or
no,
maybe it was
there's that one. Oh, it was Pittsburgh. We beat their AAA team, like, we scored 20. And three of the pitchers who threw that night, like, two were on rehab, and one guy was, like, up and down all the time for them. And we were like, if this is, like, their guys.
If this is
like
major league pitching, like,
everyone has a bad night, don't get me wrong, but I think that whole series, like, I think we might have scored like 40 runs in 3 games.
Yeah, and then you had a couple of no hitters. Who had the no hitters? Did Harold Gonzalez have it in AA or AAA?
I think he had it in AA, but I mean, we were rolling out one hitters every now and then. Drew Gagnon was going.
Yeah, that guy's nasty in the KBO right now. The guy his changeup is crazy.
Yeah, they for some reason they let him like DFA'd him, which I never understood. I thought he was going to be like a guy competing for a rotation spot. Like, I mean, good for him for leaving and kind of getting. He's going to get paid more money than major league minimum this year.
Last year, the Mets were proclaimed by many people as a very special team, like the chemistry of the team, that it was just a great vibe overall. What did you, as being up there for even a couple of days, what over there did you feel made that team so connect and go along so well?
They just had a lot of good personalities in there. I mean, and I think the personalities have to happen on each side of the ball, offense and defense. And you look at someone like DeGrom, or who's probably as serious as it gets on the field, but off the field he's always having a good time, trying to make sure everyone has some type of just a smile, I guess, throughout the day. And then on the offensive side, I mean, you got like Todd Frazier, like enough can't be said about him. And not his antics, and I don't mean antics negatively, but just he just is always having fun out there. I mean, he looks like
big dog.
Yeah, he looks like he's still playing in the Little League World Series, even though it is the major leagues. So, and then you can couple that with guys like Pete Alonso, who was kind of like the doe-eyed rookie at the time, but he's now moved into kind of like a veteran role there. Dom Smith, again, another guy on the offensive side of the ball who's always having a good time, and it seems like he's kind of like the gel. Like Dom just kind of united everyone when I was up there, and they've got a great group, and their talent's going to carry them very far, just naturally. But I think the organic kind of gel and kind of the way they all sync together personality wise is might be what puts them in the forefront of the playoffs and maybe even beyond.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, I'll see you, man.
All right, stay safe.
Bye. You too.